Hi, I'm Stephanie and I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease in 2006. I'm making this series of videos to show you my journey through Crohn's. As I said, I was diagnosed in 2006. However, I actually started showing symptoms probably in 98 or 99. I was in college and started having to go to the bathroom more. I assumed that it was stress. I had been a vegetarian and started eating meat again and just wrote it off all as that. As the years went on, it didn't get any better. You know, I was going to the bathroom 10, 15 times a day and still just didn't think anything about it. Figured something was wrong, but was embarrassed, didn't want to talk about going to the bathroom with anybody. Fast forward to 2006. Still having the same bathroom issues, but it started getting worse. It was going to the bathroom 20 times a day. And then I was having issues eating. Every time I would eat, I would feel nauseous. It got to the point where I could only eat a couple of ounces of food at a time before I just couldn't eat anymore. And I went to see my general practitioner. He tried a couple medicines. I don't even remember what they were for 2 weeks, and I went back to see him and nothing was different. So he immediately recommended me going to see a GI doctor. I went on a Monday to see Dr. Deal, and then I described my symptoms, and then Wednesday I was having my first colonoscopy. That was quite a shock. I didn't think that, you know, the Monday when I went to see him that I would be having a procedure that Wednesday. So, had the procedure with the wonderful prep that everyone knows about. Came to all that jazz. A couple days later, received a letter in the mail saying that he suspected I had Crohn's disease, that he wanted to put me on Entocort and Pentasa and to see him the next week. So I was on 3 tablets of Entocort and a total of 8 tablets of Pentasa a day. I was taking them 2 tablets 4 times a day. So I went back to see Dr. Deal, and he explained that I had Crohn's disease, not UC, which just shows in the colon, but Crohn's because evidently with the upper endoscopy that I had, it showed signs elsewhere too. So I was on Entocort and Pentasa. Couple months later, went to see him again, had another colonoscopy, and colon wasn't getting any better. He told us at that time, the first time and the second colonoscopy, he was not able to scope my whole colon because the inflammation was so bad. He also told us that my colon was the worst he had ever seen, which you never want to hear that. So he recommended we try Remicade. So I went for my first Remicade infusion. That ended up being about the week before I was getting married. So that was fun. So I sat and had the Remicade treatment for the infusion for 3 hours. You know, no bad side effects or anything. Headache, tired after it. So was doing Remicade. Had another colonoscopy during that time. Went back to see Dr. Deal. And he told us that he was still not able to scope my whole colon, even with the pediatric scope. And he recommended me having surgery because it was so bad. He recommended that I see a surgeon and that they were going to discuss taking out parts of my colon, suturing the rest of the colon together if there was anything healthy, with the possibility of having everything removed and getting an ileostomy. This was in probably 2007. So mind you, I was just diagnosed in October. We're less than a year later and he's talking about surgery. So I went to meet the surgeon. He told us our options and all that. Had a colonoscopy scheduled. This is number 4 or 5 within a year. That colonoscopy, my surgeon and GI doctor were going to be present and discuss what they saw. So I remember coming to and looking at my husband, asking him what did they see, and he said they were finally able to scope everything and that I was responding to the Remicade. So that was great news. Then I met with the surgeon, and he said that at the time he would not recommend me having surgery since I was responding to the medication. So at that point in time, I was doing Remicade infusions every 8 weeks. I was also on Entacort. Once I started taking Remicade, they did take me off the Pentasa. So everything was fine for 12 months, about a year, 16 months or so, having my 6-month checkup with Dr. Deal, the GI doctor. At the beginning of 2009, symptoms slowly started coming back, going to the bathroom more. I didn't think much of it. In February, I started yoga teacher training, which took up a lot of time and was absolutely great. That was finished in July. In August, I started showing some interesting symptoms. I was still going to the bathroom, which I just equated that to being my life. You know, with Crohn's, we all know that you spend most of your time in the bathroom. But I was also tired all the time, and I was hungry all the time. And I wrote this off to being lazy. I had been doing yoga 3 to 4 times a week. I had teacher training on the weekends, which was 20 hours on the weekends. And I just figured I was not exercising, and because I wasn't exercising, that's what was making me tired, and I was just lazy. It's amazing how we can, rationalize things in our heads. And just continue to deal with that, and tired, going to the bathroom, eating all the time because I was hungry all the time. I had 6-month checkup with Dr. Deal in October. I should say back in 2008, he ended up taking me off Entacort because it's not a medicine that is approved for long-term use, and put me on fiber. So when I went to see him in 2009, in October, I was doing Humira. Forgot to tell you that too. In 2008, I was doing Remicade every 8 weeks. And then by the time the 8th week came around, I was showing signs of my symptoms were coming back. So they moved me to every 6 weeks. Did that for a couple months. And then by the time week 5 and week 6 came around, I was showing symptoms again. So they gave me the option